welcome back into Game Night on Michigan Sports Radio and basketball season here right away as we roll right into things and we get ready for another really exciting year of Grandville Bulldogs basketball on Game Night. And as always, to start the year, we're so excited to be joined by Desmond Young as he enters his fourth season at the helm of the Grandville Bulldogs program, 15-8 last year, and a really interesting team, certainly this season. I guess first, Coach, thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on. How are you, and how excited are you for this season to get rolling?
Thanks again for having me. I'm very excited to get rolling this year. Like you said, we definitely have an interesting team.
Yeah, for sure. And let's kind of talk about the summer, the fall ball into practice. How do you feel this team has already been able to kind of gel throughout the summer, throughout the fall, into practice as you've gotten to the season, and how much is this team ready to really get the ball rolling as the season tips off?
That's a good question because this summer and this fall have been very good. Very good because this group gets along with each other very well. They spend a lot of time together in the summer. They spend a lot of time together in the fall. Versus in summers past and falls past, I've always had people in different directions and stuff like this. But this year, it felt like this summer and this fall, these guys have been together for the most part.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing that really has struck me going into this year is I think there's you and the team and the program have done a great bit of work into building program excitement. We saw last week that Meet the Team event, and I think you can feel a pretty good buzz. And obviously, Grandville has a lot going on in the fall, or in the winter, I should say. I mean, the hockey team, of course, is always a state championship contender and so forth.
Yeah.
How important has it been to kind of build that community, and how much do you guys feel that heading into this year that there's a pretty good groundswell of support heading into this season?
Um, that's a big thing. Community is really big for myself. And that's the one thing that I wanted to do for this team. I'm trying, my overall goal is just to make basketball one of our top sports in our community. We have football, we have hockey, we have wrestling, we have baseball and all those kind of stuff. But I want one of my main goals has been let's put basketball up there with those other sports. And I thought this year was a good example to do like a meet the team. I mean, like football just had finished, trying to bring that excitement to the game of basketball for our community.
Yeah, for sure. And this year's team, we can roll right into it. Let's look big picture. It is an interesting team, like you said. The big point is there's a lot of returners here from last year's team, of course. A couple interesting guys. The big point, though, Cam Regnaris is now at Grand Valley State. So, stylistically, where is this team going to look the same? Where is it going to look different than the team that had the big guy in the middle the last couple years?
The same will have the same principles, defensively and stuff like that, but differently is from the simple fact it's like guys individually have to be better defensively.
Mm.
When you have a man in the middle like we had the last basically 3 years, guys could slack off defensively because they knew they had somebody back there. Now we are more focused on helping each other out, are more on our one-on-one defense as individuals. So things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get into some of the kind of the names, of course. First off, like I said, there's several guys that are returning that were such big contributors, and we can kind of roll through them individually here first. Of course, the first one in the backcourt that comes to mind is Carter Wade. Goes now into his sophomore season. We saw all that growth he had. Started last year with an injury, wound up as just growing exponentially as the year went on. Tell us about Carter, kind of what you've seen in terms of growth and what sort of big second year he's going to have, you think?
You know what? I'll just come out and say it like he's one of our team captains this year as
Okay.
a sophomore. So that should tell you right there.
Yeah.
He's one of our team leaders. He's finally healthy. I don't think he was healthy at all last year. But he's finally healthy. He's taken a very big jump this summer, this fall, and just leading by example. I mean, for a sophomore to have a voice like he does has been amazing. So I'm looking forward to a really good sophomore year for him.
Yeah, a couple guys returning as well on really on the wing that were a big part scoring last year and certainly had their moments in Caden Neves and Colin
Mhm.
Hybor. We've seen Colin for 3 years, Caden transferring
Yeah.
in last year. Kind of
Yep.
same question. Where do you see those two guys growing as they head into their senior seasons?
Those two guys have really been staples for us. This obviously the last year, and this summer, this fall. I mean, both of them are shooting the ball really well right now, and they have to do their job offensively. They have the ultimate green light for us, but the one thing they both have to do a good job for us is just guarding the basketball, and we need them to be our leading rebounders for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you kind of look at those sort of pieces. Up front, you lose Cam Regneris. Who's the guy? Who are the guys that are kind of going to fit into that role at the five a little bit and play that sort of role for this year's team? Of course, it'll be a little bit different than how Cam did it, but who can we expect to see there up front?
Oh, Gibby Conley is going to start off at that spot for us, and for him, he just has to be solid. He's coming off football, being the tight end for the football team. He's going to Grand Valley to play football as well, so he just has to be solid. My biggest thing for him is just I don't want him to try to have to do too much. Rebound the ball, score the ball in the post, do those little solid things, and we'll be all right. Be all right. And then from there, we could go small and play small ball a little bit and add another guard out there too. So
Yeah, and you mentioned the guards, and that's a perfect transition. I think there's a lot of depth there. We mentioned
yes,
Wade, but I know there's a couple guys like Vanderhart and Sorokin back, but also
yeah.
there are some guys coming up from the JV team that I think are pretty interesting and exciting prospects as well. So tell us about that mix in the backcourt this year.
I think we're loaded in the backcourt, and the one thing I liked about this backcourt compared to previous backcourts is I feel like we have the confidence handling the basketball.
Mm.
So you have a junior, Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to have a heck of a junior year. You throw in Vanderhart. Obviously Sorokin's going to be another starter. He's been solid, very solid. He's the most solid guy we got, I think sometimes. He just does everything. He does everything well. Then you have Brecken Man too, who will back up our backup point guard. So I think when it comes to the guard play, our biggest thing that I wanted to make sure we have is some guys that can handle the basketball, and not be afraid to handle the basketball. And I think with this group of guys, we have that.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be an interesting team for sure. I'm so excited to see the way these pieces come together. Now, the pieces are going to have to come together quickly here based on the start of this season. I mean, once
Yes.
again, a brutal non-conference, and it starts in this first week of the year. I guess
Yeah.
first tell us kind of big picture how important you think it is to schedule, especially going into a tough OK Red later. How important it is to really show what your team can do, or at least show your teams. Here's the most elite teams we can play. This is the standard we have to be at, and then see that right away.
The biggest thing is for guys, they want to play against the best. So why not schedule non-conference like the best? So you got teams like Northview, you got teams like Byron Center, later on you got teams like Grand Rapids Christian. It's good to schedule those teams so to get us ready for when it comes to end of February, early March for postseason play. So with dealing with the brackets and all that kind of stuff and the MPR format that we use, we always want to schedule tough because those teams will always have good MPRs later on.
Yeah, for sure. And these first two games, we'll kind of play this interview throughout or before both of the first couple games of the season here. So let's start with Northview to open the year. I mean, there is probably no more talented team in terms of next level talent in West
Yeah.
Michigan. What is the challenge that Coach Chan's team is going to provide to you, to your team in this first game of the season?
I mean, he has his team rolling. They got off to a good start already this year, in beating Godwin Heights, but they pose a challenge of because they play so fast.
Mm.
They got two studs and Brady Swartz and Cam Ryan, so they pose challenges because they put so much pressure on the defense. So that's a challenge right there. And then then Friday you turn around, you have to go deal with Byron Center, and deal with Camden Carroll and the Cassius Bonds, the Keen Hinkles, and all that type of stuff too. So a different type of team on Friday from this Tuesday, but they both are powerhouses.
Yeah, for sure. I guess kind of let's wrap it up here. you look at these first couple games. What are some of the things outside, of course, winning games and the record itself? What are some of the things in these first difficult couple weeks of the season you're hoping to see, you're wanting to see out of your team as you get ready for conference play?
The biggest thing for us is I just want us to competing at a high level. I want to see improvement, each and every game. But the biggest thing is competing and just playing together. That's the one thing I think for our team. If we play together and not try to play hero ball and our guys try doing things on their own, we have a chance to being very, very, very good. So that's the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to early, just to seeing if we share the basketball with each other, and just simply just competing.
Yeah, no, that's great. I can't wait to see it myself. It's going to be a fun team to watch all season long. Coach Desmond Young, thanks as always for your time, and good luck starting the year, and of course, good luck the entire season.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, Desmond Young here on Game Night on Michigan Sports Radio.